Great to see you. While we're moving the podium, we'll start with just some introductions. But I will say I was so pleased to hear Senator Kane talk about the renaissance that's going on in career and technical education. And we believe that as well. And I saw many CTE directors and superintendents in the audience, and that they can tell you about the innovations going on in each of their school divisions. But really, we're here today in this panel to talk about how we can connect our K-12 system, really our pre-K to 12 system, to the workforce. And I'll tell you, not only will you see great innovations in CTE, but you're going to hear today about great regional partnerships. You're going to hear about career academies. You're going to hear about how businesses are partnering with schools. And it's really an exciting time, and we have a great panel. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you first. And so I'm going to turn it over to our panelists just for a moment to share who they are, who they work with, and how they're connected to this pipeline.
Good morning. I'm Travis Staton, the President and CEO of United Way of Southwest Virginia, where I'm currently overseeing our organization's strategy through an initiative-based cradle-to-career concept to create sustainable solutions to addressing the challenges facing tomorrow's workforce. Today, United Way of Southwest Virginia covers 15 counties and 3 independent cities, approximately about 17% of the Commonwealth.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Banks. I am a systems engineer at Lockheed Martin, located in Manassas, Virginia. Lockheed Martin is the largest defense contractor in the world with over 100,000 employees in 70 nations and territories. So I'm excited to be here today to share with you how we're working with our local community to develop our current workforce as well as our future workforce.
I'm Jeffery Smith, Superintendent of Hampton City Schools. I've had the pleasure to serve as superintendent there, now going into the 4th year, and we have approximately 19,000 young people that we serve in Hampton, in the Hampton community, where we really focus on every child, every day, whatever it takes, and we want our young people to be college, career, and life ready.
All right, well, let's jump in with the first question. Jeff, I'm going to ask you the first question, and I say Jeff and I go way back. Jeff was superintendent at West Point when I was superintendent in Middlesex. And if you combine the two of our school divisions together, it would have been smaller than one of our high schools. Absolutely. When we were in Chesterfield. And if you told me 10 years later we'd be here doing this Absolutely. Today, it's just an amazing time. But I have a great deal of respect for Jeff's work, and what he's done to build workforce partnerships has just been amazing. But Jeff, I know you talk with our businesses all the time. So tell me a little bit about what are employers asking from our educational institutions?
Yeah, very much. I think, when we hear from employers, they're very interested in what we really have as the profile of a Virginia graduate, and that is the 5 C's, to ensure that our young people can communicate well. So communication is very important. They want young people who can collaborate, and so collaboration is very important, but they also want young people in terms of the fact that they want them to be critical thinkers and to also be very creative in their approach to solving specific problems and issues. And so the 5 C's are very important in terms of employers, and we're seeking within our school divisions across the Commonwealth of Virginia to ensure that we're providing young people with those opportunities to really nurture and develop those 5 C's. And so those are the areas that we're hearing over and over again from employers, and they want young people who are focusing on being good citizens. So citizenship is also very important.
Thank you. Yeah, the profile of a graduate was adopted by the Board of Education of Virginia last year, and it is really shaping a lot of the thinking going on around the Commonwealth about moving away from not only focusing on basic skills and preparing kids for tests, but really getting into what we call deeper learning, which we think is going to prepare folks for business and workforce later. But I'm going to turn to Melissa now and talk to us a little bit about how the community involvement that businesses are involved with can play a role in shaping the future of our workforce.
In today's competitive economy, we recognize the importance of building effective relationships with our local community members. And those members are our actual students, their families, our educators, as well as our business leaders and our government officials. It's important for us to develop that partnership now, especially with the educators, all the way in pre-K, elementary school, middle school, and high school, so they can understand what our needs are in the workforce and help implement those skills and that technology into their classroom, because they are building our workforce for us. So we need to depend on them as they depend on us in helping develop that.
Yeah. Well, as Jeff and Melissa outlined, it's clear that this partnership between business and K-12 is so important. And there's some innovative things going on around the state. So now I'm going to turn to Travis. And Travis, we've all heard about the Ignite program, and I know Governor McAuliffe hailed that as an innovative opportunity. And so talk to us about how that model is working and some of the accomplishments you've seen with the Ignite program through its implementation.
Sure. So last year, United Way of Southwest Virginia brought together more than 200 public-private sectors across 17 school systems representing 86 middle and high schools to create our region's first regional youth workforce development program. Ignite is a program developed by the United Way of Southwest Virginia and is a common sense initiative that is sparking student interest in the next generation of jobs of tomorrow by deploying two simple strategies. One is developing more career awareness, and secondly, the opportunity for skill development. In skill development, we partnered with the U.S. Department of Labor and provided curriculum called Skills to Pay the Bills, where we taught students skills such as teamwork, critical thinking, problem solving, and the importance of those skills in the workplace. We also talked about and worked on financial literacy among our youth. We all know that our youth have grown up in a culture of easy credit and debt, which can lead to more costly financial mistakes. So United Way partnered with Virginia Tech and the Cooperative Extension and provided financial reality simulations to all area 8th graders during last school year. In working on heightening and building career awareness, we partnered with a software provider to put 29,000 students in touch with a software platform that will help them generate more interest in careers through self-assessment and self-exploration. In addition to helping students heighten their awareness, we also work with our educators. You'd be surprised at how many educators are unaware of local occupations and careers in their own community. We took those educators out on employer tours all across our region. And for the first time, those educators were able to see firsthand the needs of our employers to have a skilled and talented workforce. And then we didn't stop there. Learning from Dr. Julie Brown in Southside, we created a regional careers expo for youth, where more than 4,000 7th graders got to learn firsthand from local employers about jobs and occupations right there in Southwest Virginia. In fact, I brought a video with me this morning to give you a snapshot of that expo.
Well, thanks, Travis. I have to say, having been in this role now a little over 3 months, I'm just so impressed with the innovations going on in Southwest Virginia, not only in the school divisions, but in partnerships, and it's something I'm continuing to learn from. And what I really like about what's going on there and with Ignite is the notion that you focused on the region. And one of the things we talk about all the time at the Department of Ed is, how can we incentivize regional career and technical education advisory programs so that we can be thinking about how to build our workforce, not only in each of our individual school districts, but as a region as we compete for businesses. Another opportunity that I want you to hear about is about the career academies going on in Hampton. I had special interest in this while I was superintendent in Chesterfield, and in fact, Chamber RVA here in the Richmond area is working very closely with school districts here to develop career academies. And so as businesses are thinking about how to partner, I think Jeff and Hampton have found a great model. So Jeff, tell us about the Wall-to-Wall Academy program in Hampton and how you're transforming high schools.
Sure. So there are 3 areas that we're focusing on when we talk about transformation at the high school level in particular. So we're focusing on transforming teaching and learning, but we're also focusing on transformation as it relates to student engagement and the experience that young people, that they ultimately have at the high school level. And then the third area of transformation, it's really transformation as it relates to our partnerships with the business community. And so it's transformation within the context of that of civic and our business leaders. And so a little bit about where we are in that process. Earlier we had 5 pocket academies whereby we were serving about a little over 500 students in those pocket academies. This year, we have scaled our academies up to move from pocket academies to now wall-to-wall academies, where we have moved from those 5 pocket academies to now 16 wall-to-wall academies for young people, and from 18 career pathway options for young people to now 44 career pathway options for young people. So we're real happy and proud of the work there. And so when we talk about an academy, we're really talking about a small learning community where we have young people along with teachers, and teachers then are approaching the curriculum from the standpoint of understanding the workforce and the needs of the workforce and bringing about relevance into the classroom and anchoring that particular content in which they are teaching. It's a wonderful experience for young people, but we also have a number of industry leaders sitting around the table helping us to shape the curriculum, to understand the jobs of the future, the skills that will be needed, rather than just the classroom teacher. And we also have classroom teachers going out into the community on externships so that they can understand and really become familiar with the workforce, look at project-based learning and get those experiences in the workforce environment, bring those project-based experiences back to the classroom, work together as a team in a small learning community with young people. And so it is exciting work. We had a little over 500 students enrolled in the pocket academies. This year with wall-to-wall academies, I'm proud to say that we have over 1,400 young people in an academy with Hampton City Schools, and a number of industry councils with business leaders helping us to shape and to understand what we need to do in order to prepare young people. At the end of the day, we do want our young people to be college, career, and life ready, and we have said to our young people, as well as to the family members, that it is better to be prepared for an opportunity, as Whitney Young said, and not have one, than to have an opportunity and not be prepared.
Very good.
So Jeff, I think we have a video here for you as
We do.
well.
Let's look at it, and probably the
to share
video
a
clip
little
will
bit
give a
more.
better sense of the academies.
Yeah. Certainly excited about the future opportunities that you're really dreaming big for kids. And one of the things that I love is this notion of it of being wall to wall, that every part of the student's experience is themed around a career. So tell us how you decided on the 16 academies, how you decided on the themes, and how you picked the 44 pathways.
Sure. And so we realized that, in essence, in order for this to really work and to have meaning for our young people, that we had to involve the business leaders in the community. And so we actually brought together and had at the table the Peninsula Workforce Development, the council. They serve as our convening partner. And we also have members of the chamber, the Virginia Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, at the table with us, along with members of the business community relative to various industries. And we've had an opportunity to look at the workforce development data, jobs that are going to be in our region and in the Commonwealth in the next 5 to 10 years. And so that served as a springboard for really trying to determine the direction that we should go in, specific academies along with pathways. And we have councils, business councils, advisory councils at each of the high schools. They help us in terms of making those decisions. They make recommendations relative to stop, start, and sustain based upon workforce development data. And so it's really driven by the workforce data. What are the specific needs, jobs of the future, the next 5 to 10 years? And we continue those conversations on a daily basis. We said to our business leaders, and our business leaders said to us, we asked, we need your expert knowledge. We know how to teach the content in terms of mathematics, science, and so forth, but we need your expert knowledge to help us to understand where we should go in terms of our academies and the pathways, and also the skills that we need to incorporate within the curriculum. And so that is the process that we're using. There are a number of tactical teams that we have. Those tactical teams, a part of the decision-making process whereby we have someone who's chairing it from Hampton City Schools, but also a member of the business community. So we have co-chairs, Hampton City, along with a business community member helping us with that decision-making process.
Wow, that's great. And certainly excited to see the future of what happens for the kids in Hampton. Well, I'm going to go back to Travis. Travis, tell us a little bit about how the Ignite program is now working with Go Virginia. I know many of us are really excited about what Go Virginia can do, not only from an economic development standpoint, but from a workforce standpoint. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Sure, I know that has raised a lot of eyebrows, and United Way of Southwest Virginia was the first grant recipient of Go Virginia in Region 1. If you really take a look, last year I learned that our local school systems are choosing from more than 600 credentials. But often those credentials are not aligning with the employer demand and the employer needs. In the area of STEM, if you were to ask Americans today about the worker shortage in STEM, 2 out of 5 would say it's at a crisis level. 15 of the 20 fastest growing jobs over the next 10 years are going to require more STEM. Outside of that, we also know that more youth are actually working less. Those numbers are continuing to grow. We saw some recent research that since 2000, the number of youth that hold a summer job has plummeted by half over this country. So in order to address those challenges, in partnership with Region 7 Superintendent Association and Go Virginia, we're going to deploy 3 critical strategies. First, we're going to do a credential alignment study across all 38 high schools. We're going to learn what credentials they're offering, but also where the gaps are based on employer demand, and talk to employers and learn more about what credentials they need. Last year in Southwest Virginia alone, there were over 9,600 credentials awarded, which is a lot, but we still had about 3,000 youth ages 16 to 19 that were not enrolled in school or working, so you can see the disconnect there. Moving on from that, in order to get more STEM into classrooms, we're going to create and deploy a regional speakers bureau. Working with all of our major employers, we're going to get STEM subject matter experts to come in and do project-based learning curriculum in our schools to bring those connections from the workplace into that classroom. And then lastly, we're partnering with a software provider that we're currently deploying in our schools and building upon that platform to now create the availability to develop, host, and market internship opportunities. Employers will now have access and will be able to post directly into the system internships that they would have, and these 29,000 students would now be able to view those, apply for those, and better connect. Outside of the platform itself, we're going to be working with state and national resources to help employers guide through this complicated process as well.
Wow, that's awesome. And I'll tell you, I know when you hear from the governor later today, when I hear him speak about workforce, he talks about work-based learning opportunities, and to see Southwest Virginia really leading with an innovative model is impressive. But Melissa, Travis mentioned the STEM shortage and that it's reaching crisis levels. Discuss the importance of early exposure and early development of STEM programs.
So early childhood development is increasingly important, not in so much regards in technology, because we all know today a 2-year-old can walk in here and probably unlock any one of your cell phones, download its favorite app, and be entertained for the next hour. But one thing that we really wanted to focus on and express the importance in pre-K all the way through high school is their social skills. And back to Senator Kane, I was like, thank goodness I didn't have soft skills in my, but survival skills, as he would say, and having those interpersonal skills to be able to talk with someone and problem solve together in a team-based environment, recognizing that there are differences and similarities with people that you're working with, and how do you work together to solve a problem. Having those social skills and the interpersonal skills are just as important as the technology. So exposure to STEM, as it was stated earlier, in middle school, how important it is to get our young women and our minorities involved in STEM. Something that's being implemented in one of the counties in my schools is a new software program called U-Science. And they've given this program to students early in their high school years, and it allows them first to understand what is the percent of interest that they are interested in STEM. For example, for women, it was about 10% interested in STEM. They take this online test, and after they're given all these games and tests to take after an hour, it then shows, okay, 80% of you have the aptitude to have a career in STEM. So having the idea that recognizing I may not have the interest, but now I'm being told I have the aptitude, I have the natural talent to do something in a STEM organization is very important. So we talk about the importance of exposure in STEM, not only getting out into the schools and having young individuals work with their hands in science, technology, engineering, and math, but also have them come out to our site and get that hands-on experience as well.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Tell us how Lockheed Martin supports K-12 STEM initiatives.
So especially K through 12, a lot of our employees, just last year alone in 2017, we did 115,000 volunteer hours. So the employees really take great pride in going into the schools and helping elementary, middle school, and high school, whether it's a science fair project, whether it's career day, whether it's robotics, etc. We also take advantage of having them at our site. We have middle school STEM day where we have about 125 8th graders come to our site and experience hands-on Minorities in Engineering Day and Women in Engineering Day. So we've recognized over the next 15 years, we're going to be looking to hire 50,000 STEM professionals. So what can Lockheed Martin do to help our local community, prepare our students, and get ready for the workforce? So just last year alone, we donated $12 million to the STEM environment so that they can be exposed early. So earlier this year, we celebrated our 10th anniversary for Minorities in Engineering Day, and I brought a clip that will help share that.
I was thinking about Travis's comment about the reduction in summer job opportunities, and I've even had experiences talking to high school kids where how hard it is for high school graduates to get experience during high school. That the jobs that many of us did as kids, I was a movie theater projectionist, for instance, that's sometimes people's jobs now. And then I've heard some leaders say to me that they're just not ready to hire someone right when they're 18. But we know with the new profile of a graduate, with these new innovative opportunities, we're going to have graduates ready to work and choosing this experience instead of going to college, because sometimes it can be more lucrative for their life. So you can tell us a little bit about the opportunities that are available to high school graduates specifically at Lockheed Martin.
So just last year, we started recognizing that engineers in our secure labs are doing tasks that they did not go to college for. We're also recognizing that those with a college degree are coming into our workforce and still don't have the skills that we need them to do. So we're having to retrain them and have more on-the-job training. So recognizing this and knowing all the different technology and what's going on in our classrooms today, whether it's career and technical education, Project Lead the Way classes, C-Perch, robotics, all of our students today are already learning the technical skills that we can use in our workforce today. So we started something called the High School Apprentice program, and being able to hire someone with a high school degree to come into our workforce and work alongside our experienced professionals, our engineers, as well as retired Navy personnel, and learn from them. It's a training program that allows them to get the hands-on experience and understand the different types of engineering, whether it's systems, manufacturing, something that they're just not sure what they want to do. This allows the opportunity for them to do a different career path. A lot of these individuals cannot afford to go to college nowadays, or they're not sure what they want to do. So now they have the opportunity to take advantage to work full-time, learn, as well as take advantage of the Lockheed Martin benefit of getting tuition assistance. So we help pay for them to go back to college or go to college if they're interested in doing that. I don't know if any of you knew this, but just recently, about 2 months ago, our CEO, Marilyn Houston, went down to President Trump's, he had a program to talk about apprentice programs. and took one of my employees with her, so that was an amazing opportunity for him. And she pledged that day to hire 8,000 apprentices across the United States. So we're excited for that. In Lockheed Martin Manassas, we currently have 18 apprentices across multiple engineering fields. We're looking to grow to 100, which is 10% of our site over the next 5 years. So we're extremely excited to recognize that, yes, an 18-year-old, given that he's able to get a security clearance and come into our workforce and work alongside engineers. That's one thing what we do when we go into the high schools and we talk about the apprentice program. Social media can be very scary. So we express to them the importance of making good decisions, not only for going into the career world, but those that are going to college and they're doing background checks looking for that. Coaches are looking for those that have good career or decisions that they're making on social media. So over the time, we piloted on the engineering program, but we're looking to expand it to our builds and trades program. We're working with the career and technical educators, as well as finance, human resources, communications. So we're piloting on the engineering program and going to expanding it across non-engineering fields as well. So we're very excited.
Wow, it's exciting to hear the innovations going on in the business world and workforce development and the school world at the same time. And it's so obvious that we really need to build these pathways together. And so Jeff, who's responsible for expanding the number of business partners for these academies and really connecting business and schools together?
Sure. We actually have a tiered system. And so we start really at the high school level where we have advisory councils. And so we have business leaders serving on those advisory councils. And so they're helping to inform and guide the decision-making process and to also populate other industry councils at the various high schools. And then we also have, beyond that, we have, as I mentioned earlier, tactic teams, and we have business leaders serving as co-chairs on those tactic teams or tactical teams. And then we have a steering committee whereby the city manager and the superintendent, we both co-chair the operating as well as the steering committee. And so we provide assistance in populating and supporting the industry councils as a part of that particular process. I thought I would ask that I know that there are a number of business leaders who are present today from the Hampton Roads area, some who are connected with us and with this important work. And if so, just stand if you want to know how we're going to keep the work going. I saw Newport News Shipbuilding, let's see, in the back there, raise your hand, and some others. So let's give them a hand and thank you for... And so these individuals really help to guide the process. They inform us along the way, and they also help us with the networking because we need to get teachers out there with externships, but we also need opportunities for our young people relative to internships. And so the business community, along with individuals within the school system, we partner together to really do the important work of preparing young people to be college, career, and life ready, and to really focus on the academies of Hampton. The important work there.
So Travis, we've heard about connecting businesses in our pre-K through 12 system, but when it comes to workforce, we notice your partnership focused on a nonprofit. Why the United Way?
Sure. Well, United Way of Southwest Virginia, as well as United Ways across the country, are currently in a dramatic shift. We have shifted our focus from treating symptoms to now focusing in on root causes and really looking at prevention. This tends to have a greater return on our investment, and truthfully, we were just unhappy with the status quo. But United Ways are so well connected. They have the relationships with schools. They have the relationship with the faith-based community. They have the relationship with all the major employers. So being able to be that convener, to break down those silos and bridge those gaps and create those communication pipelines has been critical. And United Ways across the country are well positioned to assist and aid with this work. In our region, not only has that enabled us to be more successful in creating a talent pipeline for our future workforce, but it's also allowed us to take a regional approach to collaborate and strengthen from our collective resources and assets. Rural Virginia sometimes cannot compete with other parts of the country, and being able to collectively pull those things together, we have leveraged outside funding resources such as Appalachian Regional Commission, awards from Robert Wood Johnson Foundations, and several different groups that are enabling us to take those local investments and then leverage them with outside resources. Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to try something a little different than we've done thus far. This is going to be called our lightning round. But I'm going to ask one question, and I'd like all three of you to answer it because it really is the crux of what I think about at the state. And so what can we do, all of us? Is there a policy change, or what should we all be doing together to make opportunities like we've heard about today come to fruition? Travis.
McKinsey Corporation would tell you that only a third of employers communicate with the K-12 system. The first thing I would say is communicate. I hear employers all day long say, the schools don't listen to us. Have you went to the schools? It's two-way communication. That would be my encouragement, is to take down those barriers and call your school. They need your help, and you got to be willing to make that first step.
I think communication is a very good key. The other thing I think is making sure that you're involving the families. The students nowadays have so much pressures on them, and they don't know what they're going to do when they graduate high school, and they're being forced to think they have to go immediately into college. And we're recognizing that there's a lot of opportunities out there that a college degree is not immediately ready. So helping the families get involved and understand what opportunities are out there for them in the workforce, as well as even an associate's degree or certifications, they can still be successful based on the skills that they are currently learning in high school, because our educators are doing everything amazing that I've already recognized in the hires that I'm getting now. They're coming in running circles around some of my college degreed employers. So it's amazing to recognize that they're being taught already. They just need to help the families understand that there are other avenues as well, other than college.
And so for me, I really focus on collaboration. When we look at the profile of really a Virginia graduate and the transformation and all of the transformational work at the high school level, it's important that we continue to look at various licensure aspects of how we license our teachers, because we're bringing individuals in from various industries to now teach. And so it's important that we keep that open dialogue and that communication going forward in a way where we're collaborating, because it's a very different world. It's a different world in terms of how we're preparing young people. And so the way we approach and who's delivering the instruction, we're going to have to change some of those structures as we go forward to ensure that we're really preparing young people to be college, career, and life ready.
Yeah, and I will tell you that from the state level, we're obviously constantly thinking about policy. But even as a former district superintendent, I found that sometimes the most innovative programs came from unexpected places. There were businesses that reached out to me and said, look, I need 90 workers a year that do this. And so we went to work and tried to create classrooms that developed folks for those opportunities. I can remember we were opening a heavy equipment program when I was in Goochland, first of its kind. And we bought a field so that we could go out there and do Bulldozer 101. We didn't actually call it Bulldozer 101. But what we did is we created a civil engineering program where there were kids that if they wanted to go to college and get an engineering degree, we could give them the experiences that would prepare them for that, while preparing kids that wanted to go right into construction, own their own business, run an HVAC company, or own their own plumbing opportunity. We could have all those out there for them, so that when we were building our programs, there was a pathway for every kid, and they could learn all the ways that you could do a job inside a pathway. But we couldn't have done that without our business partners. And we couldn't have had the simulators that would have prepared kids to go into businesses like Luckstone and Goochland, or to become linemen for one of our power companies. And so it is two-way communication. And whether you're a school leader, business leader, nonprofit leader in this room, I think the opportunity to convene and have discussions, not only in your division, but as a region, are so important. You've heard many innovative opportunities today. I hope that you can take this information, we can work to move forward to make sure that we talk all the time about college or career ready, and then we moved a few years ago to making sure that every kid was college and career ready. And truthfully, college is about preparing kids for careers. So it really is about career readiness. And we look forward to partnering with you all. But before we head out, let's give a huge round of applause to our panelists today.
Good job.